Hey, morning friends, it's 8 a.m. Just dropped our new vehicle off for repairs. You know how it is when you buy a second-hand car. There's always those few nickels that need to be sorted out. One, the fuel gauge doesn't work. Two, the CV joints on the left side are totally bummed out. And three, there's a couple of tires need replacing. Oh, and a tail light. Oh, a brake light. Oh, man, look at this. I mean, there's a lot of oddities around here and extra stairs and things needed to account for, you know, an unusual layout. Like, let's build ourselves a floor that we're going to need to make these unusual little steps. But this is not a killer like matter. I wouldn't say what? Come up ramps here, COVID ramps. I want to talk about where you are going, where I am going. I guess that matters the most. I guess, you know, where am I going? Where are you going? Your journey, your universe, your experience is the most important. Because you get that right, well then everyone benefits. Because again, fascinating as these subjects are, and you know, anyone who's got an inquiring mind, they should be interested in understanding the who and who we are, you know, what we are and how we came to be here. I think that's what the study of science and geology and history and all these things really are about, and they're honorable pursuits in themselves, but not when they're, of course, when they're riven with misinformation. And then, of course, if you happen to be a teacher of some of these subjects, you know, just perpetuating, you know, poor information and misleading information. And this, I used to go to that sausage shop quite a lot. They do a South African thing called boerewors, which means farmer's sausage in Afrikaans. What? Say what? There's a tombstone here with John Smith's name on. I hope it's not the John Smith that we're all friends with, because I'm sure I only saw him on Saturday at the London protest in Trafalgar Square. You know, the police were a little heavy-handed, but I don't think they'd be able to put big John Smith down that easily. Yeah, and the dates are off. John Smith's much older than that. No, that's obviously not. But here's an interesting thing. Check this out. I don't want to speak for Harry, but if he was to have an inscription on his tombstone, were he to have one, he might want something a little bit like that. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. Now, what are we playing? Or is that phrase a deception? Because certainly the soap opera that is politics screams for your attention and screams for your increasingly your obeisance or obedience to it. Or, as we're starting to see in the streets of London and have been seeing in other parts of the world, it will create the antithesis of obedience, and that is the rising up and fighting against. Been there, I've done that, and it's taken a lot of time to kind of get to that point where I no longer see that as the right, or not the, no, it's not about right. I no longer see that as the necessary course of action for my journey, which is always to be of service. Actually, you know, helps when you've got your own roots and your own vehicle, but that's always what I was, you know. Long before I was aware of the deception, I was, and there's many people like that. So I guess I want to talk a little bit about that, and to kind of flesh out what we see happening, because people I care about very much are doing absolutely passionately what they truly believe they should be doing. Jason was filming there, and I know Lisa and a bunch of other people were in attendance. So I'm not looking to knock anyone for taking the actions they did, because I myself have taken similar actions, and you know, as I've said in the previous video, like, had I been given the opportunity to talk at the Trafalgar Square thing, which obviously not that many people got to talk. I think I heard most of the speakers, but I'm not sure. I didn't see Dave Murphy talking, actually. I did see him in frame quite a lot, but I didn't see him talk. David Icke, a few other people. But that heavy-handed response we saw all the way back in Glastonbury when Piers Corbyn first started to make waves in the water. Immediately I saw that, I was like, they wrapped up a guy called Free, he renamed himself Free, and they wrapped him up, carried him like a trussed pig into the van. I was like, dang, these guys are taking a pretty for a guy just standing in the street saying I don't agree with what's going on. It was like, we never saw this, you know. No matter where we went, although the police were often sometimes like, you can't be here, they were never like, oh no, Adam Meakin got wrapped up in Rome, didn't he? But that was, yeah, I mean, Rome's a bit of a, you know what the Italian cops are like. They all been watching too much Kojak, or smoking too much something. Actually, while Adam's on my mind, I just want to say thank you very much to him. He's helped me out immensely with one or two things that we need to maintain a first aid kit off-grid. It's things that I have to learn, and I've asked Andrea to try and learn as much as she can about some of the medical stuff, and certainly now that we've had to do this research on Pebbles, our dog with the cancer. Sorry about the noise. That's you know, something that she's really good at, and I think it's something that any community that's looking to be off grid should be at least first level or second level, you know, medics. There are times when modern medicine and the modern hospital can offer something other than COVID free, and paid for masks. Nando's is opening in here, but I think I need to know. Anyway, yeah, you know, there are times when the hospital is the right choice, perhaps, or at least a properly qualified, you know, naturopath or something like that. Anyway, so thank you, Adam. It's very, very heartfelt and graciously accepted. So too the gifts from 3 or 4 people who made it possible for me to get this truck. I will say that 3 of those people are not traditional supporters of this channel, not traditional acceptors of science as a possible religion. So, or at least a lot of theoretical science as a belief system. So where are we now, and where to now? Where do we thank you. Where do we go? More of that, because, you know, if you were paying attention, and I watched Jason and the Disbury family's video from Saturday's what was it, 26th or something, September. I watched his video, and David Icke gave his rousing speech, and you know, I have to say, as much as I am not a believer of the Icke machine, he has taught me an awful lot of stuff, and quite a bit of what he was saying, really couldn't really fault it really, and some of it was really on point in my view with regards to the nature of the individual sovereign divinity, you know, thing. But I'm not going to, you know, analyze too much what David was saying right now. That's not the point of this. I think, well, what is my point is that who is listening, because Rupley turned off their, oh, I know Rupley, but you know, that's for people who are just, you know, your mainstream average red and blue voter isn't watching Rupley, okay? Those are the Russians. They poisoned Litvinenko. And hid the thing. They kept Snowden away from us. They bought the American election and all this hoopla that's put in people's minds to create this. Don't listen to them. They're against us and they're putting out disinfo. That's fake news, according to one of the great professors of fake news, Donald J. Trump. Who's listening? BBC aren't there. The mainstream media, if they do report these things, they're talking about simply COVIDiots who aren't buying the science, don't accept the science, who are putting other people's lives at risk, and so on. Then, well, before I move on to that, so how I believe that these people are being categorized, or at least the cake is being mixed at the moment. For one, stoking that anger and informing people that are, you know, at least paying attention to things outside of the BBC version. It's stoking those people, creating an anti-government sentiment, and people who just kind of went along with it in the past are saying to me, there's something wrong. They may not be able to see too deeply into what's wrong, and the thing is that what's being offered to them is there is this other way. Let's go and fight the government to change the conditions of the cities, because it's the government cities, it's the system cities, isn't it? And we're going to ask them or demand from them that they change. Now, if they were going to give us, or those that are against the mask thing or COVID, if they were going to give us any credence, you would have ministers saying yes. They'd be coming down and saying yes, we hear what you're saying, dear fellow friends and people, and we are going to do something different. Maybe that'll come. Maybe that's what Piers Corbyn's about. But I think, well, we know they're not, and it's really just a matter of us trying to drum up support from our friends and family to come along and shout louder, so that we can, get conditions in the prison changed. And we all have, and Ike has all these, idealistic views of how we turn our cities into beauties, wonderful paragons of good humanity. See, that's what I think where he kind of is off the mark, because I don't think cities are designed for that. Cities are designed for the Donald J. Trump. Americans chose Donald J. Trump because they love capitalism. They love the boardroom shark or whale who will go and eat up all the little minions or the supporters. They love that. Hail Caesar. People love that he's, well, I don't know if they love it, but they're like, whoa, the dude's got gold chaps on Trump Tower. The dude's got 4 private jets. The dude's this, man. He's got billions. He can just do this and that. And that's what I want to be, right? And that's what America is. So America has voted, even if you voted against him, you hate him, or you wouldn't give him much choice, or, really, they really let all this dirt out about Clinton, true or not, and people still go, well, I might vote for Clinton. Again, you're calling in, you're saying, I don't mind that she's got all of these allegations sat behind her. Same with Trump. I love that he's gonna, make America great again, dominate the rest of the world like we should. The Brits have got the same. I'm not having a go at you guys. It's not you. We've all been played. All of us, including the whites, whoever that guy was making a comment about white privilege, we've all been played. All right? And if you still can't see it, you've got a huge chip on your shoulder that has been programmed there. Try and get rid of it, because that's part of your soul journey. So, we've all been played, and people have chosen to play in democracy. And I broke that down in a different way the other day. Hope you enjoyed that. I'm not quite in love with the demon crazy one that people were offering. I think, having thought about it, okay, but there's no N in democracy. So people are in that kind of they're in Caesar's ring, and they're saying, we want change, blah blah. And there may be concessions, but I think at the end of the day, there's buses all over town, just empty. Oh, bus full, and there's 6 people on it. So, yeah, I think we're not going. It's not going to change in a way that is like what we want. The cities are always going to need to have a management system. That's just the way it is. You got 1 million people or hundreds of thousands of people crammed together in a tiny space. You do need those kind of oversight systems of control. And then, of course, the major issue is that it's not whether or not we should be wearing the mask. It's like it's all been a deception. Not only that, it's created the conditions of dis-ease. Medics are talking about high rates of suicide, high rates of, breath problems. I spoke to a chap just yesterday about his mask being bad for him. He said, oh yeah, my wife is telling that, and his mate saying, oh, I'm just telling him the same thing. Well, then why are you wearing it? His wife is a nurse. She says, we've had 2 people die because of the mask. So they're not going to want you. They don't want you to change. They want you to appeal to the system. But I offer to you, friends, that I think you're being played, set up such that you're going to be made to look like those who do it, to those who stand in the street and whatever, or just simply go to the supermarket as I do without a mask on. In time, you will become public enemy number 1. And how are they going to do that? They're going to use the protests as their evidence of the idiocy of those who won't comply. Any real outbreak of sickness in the near future, because of all the respiratory issues associated with mask wearing and everything else to do with fear and low vibration, any health issues in the future will probably be blamed on those people who don't wear masks, you see. So it'll be quite legitimate for a dude who takes his daughter to the shop, 7-year-old daughter to the shop, go, oh, you're putting my daughter's life at risk by breathing without a nappy on your face. Grown men are actually, in that mindset. Anyway, So I think what they're doing is to create this anti-hero, this anti-science, good public health. They're trying to create this sentiment in people's, those good people who are just playing by the rules and going along with what they're asked to do. Why do I say this? What made me come to this conclusion? Oh, actually, walking past here, I saw a young man, about 30 years old. He used to go to the same gym as me. Huge! Works as an ambulance driver. He said, I've been driving ambulances for 6 months. There have been some respiratory problems, but this COVID thing isn't real. Anyway, he's in London. London's a quiet area, as every other area is that I've visited. What brought me to this conclusion? Well, watching Jason's footage yesterday from the weekend's action at Trafalgar Square, I realized that they waited until one of the biggest, most powerful stokers of public sentiment in the alternative information community, incidentally another white-haired wizard, but you know, that's probably just a coincidence. David Icke. David Icke gives his speech, and as he finishes, someone else begins. But by the time that someone else begins, you've got a massive insertion of heavy-handed mobs of helmeted, jackbooted thugs. They call themselves police, but they do a disservice to that name. They have no respect. As a former veteran, I have no respect for those young boys, men, women even today, wielding their truncheons against their fellow countrymen for standing simply and talking about what they don't like about the world. Oh yes, my friends. You police boys, you might as well be talking German, and this might as well be 1939. Welcome to Hitler's world. And that reminds me, I got this bloody alopecia that started, it's a year now, actually a year tomorrow since we became without a home. We don't like to say homeless, but we haven't had a home of our own in 12 months tomorrow. The stress of all of that and what have you, it would seem, started an alopecia on my face. Started here, and then over the year it seems to have progressed. And a friend, Siobhan, she said, why don't you try something? I was back at Leadenhall, I only did it a few times with the ACV apple cider vinegar and baking soda or something. And I only did it a few times, not 3 weeks that I was meant to, so perhaps that didn't work. Well, it didn't work. So here, this hair is not really growing, and here, this hair is not really growing. And I noticed that a little while ago, just about a month ago, when I trimmed my facial hair, you know, and I was like, shit, there's all this hair missing. So I took it mostly off, and then a week ago, whatever video I made, I looked at myself, I'm like, damn, I look like Hitler. And so then I went and shaved it all off, and now just like 2 days growth, you know, and it becomes obviously again. Maybe that's by design, because maybe the only person who's going to get these decent people, actually, at the end of the day, you know, they all go home to their families and children, misled, misguided, just like I was as a 19-year-old kid. Going into war, you believe what your masters, your Freudian, you believe what the authority, you have been programmed from junior school, been before, but you know, to have this leader who's going to do all the do the thinking for you, give you the right information. And of course, these guys have come a long way in 6 months of daily drip feeding of the propaganda. So You know, for many, some at least, it wouldn't be hard to convince them that what they were doing was a legitimate investment in good public order and health, because these people standing here are causing a potential risk to public health by breathing. Now, okay, let's just say that's what you believe, and you're buying hook, line and sinker the propaganda as offered. If that were true, and if you were the chief of police, oh, I like that bit of sun there. If you were the chief of police in London, and you had a little bit of intelligence, I'm meaning of the kind that you get from officers on the street and those trolls of the internet, you get from them the information, and it would have been, you have to be somewhat deaf and dumb, blind, not to have known that there was going to be a follow-up protest from the week before. Surprise, surprise. So if your concern is the gathering of these people, well, one, you would put out a campaign of information to people to say, look, please don't come down to London, to Trafalgar Square on Saturday the 26th of September, because what we're going to do, because we can't allow you to meet and gather, government have said no, your masters have said no, we can't allow you to meet, so we are going to stop people entering Trafalgar Square on the day. Or we're not that quick on our feet, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn up at around midday when everybody has been told to turn up, and immediately begin dispersing the crowds. Or are we going to wait until the most famous truth speaker in the world, well, when I say truth speaker, I mean high profile guy who speaks for the truth community, David Icke, we're going to wait for him to finish, you know, make sure you've had the headline event, and then we're going to get in your grill. Now, see, the advantage of getting in my grill after David Icke is that I'm busy streaming and filming the man, the wizard that is David Icke. I'm busy filming it, and then all of a sudden, moments later, it's all gone Pete Tong, isn't it? The old bobbies have gone hard and nutty. Anyway, so for me, it's like they wanted the event to occur. They wanted to allow people's ire to be fired, stoked, and then they wanted to sort of say, okay, but now we're shutting it down. And then we're gonna those who gather, who now they've said, oh, we're gonna go to Hyde Park, the old haunt speaker's corner, and then we're going to turn up there, the old bill, and we're going to be massive thugs, complete dicks, working for a paycheck, do whatever the master tells us. Jawohl, Heil Hitler. Don't expect any like softness on that, you know. We're at the end of the day, you're working for the system, and you know, it's bad enough being a little bureaucrat pushing out fines from a desk somewhere in the city, but when you're actually beating people over the head simply for gathering, simply for not moving out of your way, you've lost all credence, all respect, all relevance, really. All relevance gone. You know, it does make me a little annoyed and angry actually, because it's like, but at the end of the day, we know that this is, you know, this is the trick or this is the play. I'm trying to say what they're doing is they're wanting me to get angry, and they're wanting me to get onto my social network and go, these mother effers, do you see what these did? And yeah, I've got scars to prove it. That's what they want, because they want an uprising. They want the opposition, and even in fact would they perhaps give whatever opposition that kind of they might give them the baton and say, okay, well, you can run the show for a while. The Lenin phrase, the best way to control the opposition is to lead it. Well, I'm starting to wonder whether good people around the place are simply being led without their their knowledge. Because what I see is, those people that are yelling for children, save the children, yelling for vaccines, yelling for whatever, equality, racial whatever, gender whatever, don't touch me, don't look at me, whatever, all of that, I'm a victim. But they're genuinely decent people with a huge amount of heart and energy, such that they could stand in the street for months, years, whatever, put all their spare money into flyers and things to make the world a better place. And you gotta respect that. I threw my whole life, as it was, away to pursue a similar course of action. So I'm not, I walked this path. I walked the path, or I lay in the sofa of the laissez-faire. Yeah, well, whatever will be, and it's all, nothing we can do about it. To, I'm standing in jackboot, I'm in speaker's corner, bare-chested, and yelling at people about how much they've been lied to. And my baby boy, my father fell out of love with me when someone sent him a video of baby boy playing by my feet while I played to the street. Apparently I was shouting, I don't know what video it was, but it doesn't matter. So, but the point is that I think that the people are natural. They know our psychology. So they know that someone who's had a particular trauma in their life comes across a certain bit of information. It may trigger that trauma. I think the Black Lives Matter one is actually a good one that comes to mind. People have been traumatized by skin color, racial separation and subjugation. Absolutely, no doubt about that. It's one of the tricks. Same as they do with gender. But those people now come across the Rodney King or the George Floyd. They come across that and they like, wow, that's really, even like Bro Sanchez, a guy who I listen to a lot, very little now, but I started to see it with the, these deaths of Kobe Bryant and supposedly alleged deaths of Kobe Bryant and all these other, particularly where they were black, it really triggered him. It's such a deep researcher, but his trauma from his upbringing in Alabama or wherever, is so deep that despite being one of the most knowledgeable people I've ever learned from, got lost in or got held up for now. Perhaps he's through that, but you got to wonder whether that's some of the shadow work we're all meant to be doing. That's what this moment in an hour's collective story is about. Is dealing with our shadow work, our karmic kind of baggage. Rather than let's go into the fun fair and demand that they change the price of the rides or the length of the queues. This is a fascinating little building, isn't it? I know I popped a shot of it in the other day, but you see that it's street level. You know, you're going to build something this grand, but you're going to have as its facade these cut off half windows, fully formed, fully shaped, you know, all the way down to their full length. But yeah. So to lead the opposition doesn't mean to offer a Lenin, you know, one of your paid for boys, which might be, you know, might go to someone like what's that dude, Russell Brand. You know, it might go to someone like that. It might be like someone like that is really in the know, and he's and the wizardry that he plays out is intentional or with knowledge or insight. However, it's also possible that a guy like him is simply given or gains access to a particular set of information which allows him to take a particular path. He then gets like a huge amount of kudos and respect for that path, and so maybe that's part of the trick. You end up kind of going, yeah, I've made my name in Save the Children, for example. I haven't, but for example, and so that's the bandwagon. Okay, so I made a tiny name in Flat Earth, you know, and I could go, well, let me just keep Mark Sargenting it, you know, the whole way, and all I want to talk about is the Flat Earth and maybe a little bit of Mars. No, that's maybe, you know, maybe it's a vanity thing, or maybe it's and so, you know, this is how perhaps we are unwittingly or unknowingly led by, you know, by having good information, being good people, but restrained or contained somehow, whether that just be an internal intellectual thing or it's a paid for program. So that's what I think. I think that there is a controlled opposition, but I'm not suggesting necessarily that people are being paid to be controlled opposition. I think that most people are fighting for what they believe is absolutely right. So that's what I want to say on that. However, it's like you have to know that they want the opposition. The opposition, as I said, was allowed to say its piece and then beat up. You know? So do with that what you will. For me, it really just continues to reinforce. This is obviously below the ground, and the rain floods in here, and they have to make this is modern day concrete on the floor, of course. They have to make modern day allowances for that. Now, you've got to think that if you were building a floor and you wouldn't like to, okay, let's put a window ledge at the same level as the ground. You would still dig all the way down to the footing of the building, because how else would you lay the bricks into that? How else do you put bricks? Another, let's just say 2 foot, could be more, but just say, yeah, because look, here's one window frame, and then 2 foot, maybe 2.5, 3 foot to the next level, right? That's the ceiling of the floor below, and that's the floor for the floor above. So logically speaking, just trying to be logical, 1, 2, 3 windows, and the floor would go down that much. But the bricklayers would have to brick it in and then fill in the ground afterwards. Some people just like being in the controlled info pool. So if that's you, fine. But if it's not you, then that information should definitely wake you up and go, shit, jeepers, no! There's nothing that we know that's really true, man. Nothing. I mean, it's, you know, we're living and we're here. That's true. But the nature of it all, we don't really know. We don't know our nature. Why? Because we're not in nature anymore. We've been denatured. We are out of nature, and we're begging for more. Even if it's just simply it's to say, oh no, We want the old normal, which was already messed up, by the way. We want the old normal back, which was already a capitalist system that invented or brought in the Trump train, okay? And weapons of mass destruction live from Tony B. Blair. Oh, house 33. Can you see that? Let me zoom in. Yeah, I mean, yes? Does that make sense to you? Stop making excuses, okay? Stop with the excuse making for this system. It's like my old friend Roxanne. Loves batting for the system. Incredible, really. Trump's her savior. Wiggy wiggy 1-1. Where we all go, we all fall in the same pit, the same hole. Oh, look, these guys, of course we have electricity now. They don't need to show off their windows because they got electricity behind there. You know what they've done? Bars. It's a mess. As you can see, it's, you know, it's a nice terrace house. Of course, all these terraces would have had to be built at the same time. They were connected houses. So everybody, or the one builder, just, you know, decided to dig a trench and sink his whole house set into the ground. Okay, move on. So Roxanne is, you know, someone who's like, you know, she knows she's been lied to, but she still thinks that there's a savior coming from outside. And this is the problem. I'm trying to get your attention, and I'm using her name, which obviously I don't want to slight her, but I'm using her name because people may pay a little bit more attention, to say, hey, stop playing their game. Their game was poisoned before Corona. Do you think that by changing lockdown conditions or taking Corona away and pretending like Corona never happened even? It's where we want to be. This world is what we want it to be? Of course not. We elected Donald Trump. Selected Donald Trump. You know? I mean, and people knew he was like this sexist, capitalist, kind of greedy pig, you know, gold taps, and while other people starve in the world. So that's the guy you want. That's the guy you're going to get. More starvation, more greed, more, you know, boardroom deals. Boardroom deals are stealing from you. Boardroom deals are for corporations, and corporations are dead. The corporation of the United States of America and UK PLC, these are dead. You're giving the dead your life energy. Why? What trauma do you still need to unpick that's going to allow you to step away and go, no, this system is what it is. It offers capitalism and sexism and racism and all these isms that people love to cling to. Veganism, vegetarianism, all isms, all control, all little groups, all little special interest areas, and you know, nature knows best, and the only way you change the outcome for you is to find your way back to nature. That's what I say. Find your way back to nature. Stop appealing to a broken system. You know, I think it's because we love the cars and the you know, all the trappings, or maybe we're just so in the, oh well, that's how it has to be. You know, some people have to be dirt poor and work for absolute slave wages so that I can have, you know, a new t-shirt every week or 5 pairs of trainers a year. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is you and your path. And the moment you're chanting for chanting for the system to go back to what it was. And what it was already non-natural, already a system of corporations, already a system of cutthroat pirates, all too willing to keep you at sea. Come back to land, brothers and sisters. Come back to land. Land, nature, nurture, you know. Create. You know, that's it. When you've got your own sandbox, you can create. When you're in Donald Trump's sandbox, he will create. You know. Alright. I'll leave it there. Hopefully this car is going to get fixed ASAP, because I want to go down and see, we want to go down and see Luke in Bournemouth. And go and see my friend Jason, actually, if possible, to pick up Luke's stuff, which ended up getting dropped off there after we gave back the camper van, which he kindly loaned to us for all those months during the early lockdown. Lockdown one. Lockdown one. Look at my. I maybe thought I was Adolf. Yeah. Alright, so yeah, let's hope that and my day goes smoothly. And in a few days' time, thanks again to those people who helped me out. I don't think any of them listen to my videos, actually, other than one, Dan. Yeah, so I'm going to be in Portugal again very soon, because but this craziness is, well, it's got to get crazier first, hasn't it? There are monumental energies happening. I can feel them now. I really am starting to kind of tune into this. Monumental energies happening in the skies. And my good friend Dave Trev, he gave us some great information. He's a really well-learned, student of the stars and their luminaries and their meanings. And these are really good times for us, friends. These are, in fact, really good times for us. Not in the shitty. Oh no, not around here. You know, I think might be some people doing a roaring trade on mask sales or whatever. Plumbers did really well during the lockdown, apparently. But if that's your kind of mindset, oh yeah, we're in the coin, man. Look at all these people buying masks off that. I think you might be in deep trouble, because that's more like the kind of casino windfall. They'll like draw you in with some early wins, some modest wins, and then you'll play big and lose it all. You know, I'm not here to judge what people are doing for themselves. People have to do what they feel called to do, or where they're right to be doing stuff. But if you're listening to me, then you're possibly one of those people who knows that this place is not natural, not good anymore, not of God, your creator, you. So you need to become the creator. You need to get out there and create something wonderful for yourself, whether it be in the lost mountains of Portugal, or even just in your local area. But I wish you well, and I hope you find your nirvana, your happy place, your good place. Cheers.